Anyone who thinks that Israel will simply give up if America stops supporting it has never been in a life and death situation. China is constantly trying to close deals with Israel. They regret to this day that they did not support Israel from the beginning. China hates Muslims more than any nation in the world. The only reason they support them is because it is against America. If Israel is pushed into a corner that it has to choose between eliminating the Jewish state or making a deal with China, what do you think will happen? Here I asked ChatGPT what would happen if Israel unites with China.
If China were to replace the United States in supporting Israel and subsequently gain control over all Israeli inventions, several significant geopolitical, economic, and technological shifts could occur. 1. Geopolitical realignment. U.S.-Israel relations. A major shift in Israel's alignment from the U.S. to China would likely strain U.S.-Israel relations. The U.S. has long been Israel's closest ally, providing military, economic, and diplomatic support. A pivot to China could lead to a reduction in U.S. support and potentially alter the dynamics in the Middle East. China's influence in the Middle East would likely grow, potentially leading to a new balance of power in the region. China's Belt and Road Initiative and its investments in Middle Eastern countries could be bolstered by closer ties with Israel. Impact on global alliances. This shift could cause ripples in global alliances, with countries in the West, particularly in Europe and the US, reassessing their relationships with both Israel and China. It could also lead to a new strategic calculus for Middle Eastern countries that traditionally rely on US support. 2. Technological and economic impact. Control over Israeli innovations. Israel is known for its technological advancements, particularly in fields like cybersecurity, agriculture, defense, and medical technology. If China were to gain control over these innovations, it could significantly boost its own technological capabilities. Economic shifts. The transfer of technological control to China could shift global economic power. Chinese companies could potentially dominate sectors where Israeli technology is currently leading, affecting global markets. Intellectual property concerns. There might be concerns over intellectual property rights, especially if Israeli technology is integrated into Chinese systems and potentially used in ways that conflict with Western interests. 3. Military and strategic implications. Shift in military dynamics. Israel's military technology, which is highly advanced, could be integrated into China's military systems. This could change the balance of power, particularly in Asia, where China's military ambitions are growing. U.S. military strategy. The U.S. might reassess its military strategy in the Middle East and Asia, potentially increasing its presence in other regional allies to counterbalance China's growing influence. 4. Impact on global innovation. Innovation hub shift. Israel has been a significant innovation hub, particularly in sectors like cybersecurity. If China gains control, there could be a shift in where and how global innovations are developed and deployed. Global standards and regulations. With Chinese control, the standards and regulations surrounding these technologies could shift to align more with China's policies, potentially affecting global tech standards. Such a scenario would have far-reaching consequences, not just for the countries directly involved but for global politics, economics, and technology.
Will companies leave the United States for the union between Israel and China?
If an Israel-China union were to form in the future, and it offered significant economic, technological, or strategic advantages, it is possible that some companies might consider relocating or expanding their operations to be part of this new bloc. However, several factors would influence such a decision. 1. Economic incentives. Market access. If the Israel-China Union offered preferential access to large markets, especially in China, companies might find it attractive to move operations or establish a presence in the region. China's vast consumer base and Israel's tech innovation could be compelling reasons. Cost benefits. If the union provided favorable economic conditions, such as lower taxes, reduced tariffs, or subsidies, companies might relocate to take advantage of these benefits. This would be similar to how companies have historically moved operations to regions with lower labor costs or better trade agreements. 2. Technological collaboration. Access to innovation. Israel is known for its high-tech innovations, especially in cybersecurity, AI, and biotechnology. If the Union facilitated better collaboration and technology sharing, companies might be drawn to this region to stay at the forefront of technological advancements. R&D opportunities. Companies focusing on research and development might find the Israel-China Union attractive if it offered superior R&D facilities, talent, and collaboration opportunities. 3. Geopolitical considerations. U.S.-China tensions. If tensions between the U.S. and China escalate, companies might face pressure or challenges in operating in both regions. Some companies might choose to relocate to the Israel-China Union if it offered a more stable or advantageous environment. Security concerns. Companies in sensitive industries, like defense or critical technologies, might need to weigh the security implications of relocating. The U.S. government might impose restrictions or sanctions on companies that move to a region with strong Chinese influence. 4. Supply chain and manufacturing. Supply chain efficiency. If the Israel-China Union could offer more efficient or resilient supply chains, companies might move manufacturing or logistics operations to the region. China's manufacturing capabilities combined with Israel's tech innovations could create new opportunities. Diversification. Some companies might move operations to diversify their global footprint and reduce dependency on any single country or region. 5. Regulatory environment. Regulatory advantages. Companies might consider relocating if the Israel-China Union offered a more favorable regulatory environment, such as less stringent regulations, faster approval processes, or stronger intellectual property protections, though this last point could be complex given China's track record. Trade agreements. If the Union established trade agreements with other major economies, companies might relocate to benefit from these agreements. 6. Risks and challenges. Political risk. The formation of such a union could lead to increased geopolitical tensions, particularly with the U.S. Companies might face risks of sanctions or other economic penalties if they move operations to this region. Reputational risk. Companies might also consider the potential reputational risks of aligning with a China-led bloc, especially in light of concerns over human rights and global power dynamics. In summary, while it's possible that some companies might relocate to or expand in an Israel-China union if it offered significant benefits, the decision would be influenced by a complex mix of economic, technological, geopolitical, and regulatory factors. Such a move would likely be part of broader strategic calculations rather than a simple migration away from the U.S.
Which American and European companies are heavily dependent on Israeli inventions?
Several American and European companies rely heavily on Israeli technology and inventions, particularly in sectors like cybersecurity, semiconductors, medical devices, and telecommunications. Here's a breakdown of some of these companies. 1. Technology and cybersecurity. Microsoft, USA. Microsoft has a significant presence in Israel, with multiple R&D centers focusing on cybersecurity, AI, and cloud computing. Israeli technology plays a key role in enhancing Microsoft's products and services. Google, USA. Google has acquired several Israeli startups and has a strong R&D presence in Israel. The company uses Israeli expertise in fields like AI, machine learning, and cybersecurity to bolster its global offerings. Intel, USA. Intel is one of the largest foreign employers in Israel and relies heavily on Israeli R&D for advancements in processors, chipsets, and AI technology. The company's Israeli teams were instrumental in developing some of Intel's key processors, including the Sandy Bridge and Kaby Lake architectures. Apple, USA. Apple's R&D center in Israel is one of its largest outside the U.S., focusing on chip design and other hardware-related innovations. Israeli technology is crucial for Apple's advancements in processors and other key components. Cisco Systems, USA. Cisco has invested heavily in Israeli startups and technologies, particularly in cybersecurity. The company's acquisitions of Israeli firms like NDS and Liba Semiconductor highlight its reliance on Israeli innovation. Checkpoint Software Technologies, Israel. While an Israeli company, Checkpoint's technologies are integral to the operations of many American and European businesses, especially in cybersecurity. 2. Semiconductors and hardware. NVIDIA, USA. NVIDIA, a leader in graphics processing units, GPUs, has acquired Israeli companies like Mellanox Technologies, which plays a crucial role in data center solutions and high-performance computing. Qualcomm, USA. Qualcomm's R&D center in Israel focuses on mobile technologies and innovations in wireless communication, which are central to Qualcomm's global operations. ARM Holdings, UK. ARM, a key player in semiconductor design, benefits from Israeli expertise in chip design and related technologies. 3. Medical devices and healthcare. Medtronic, USA/Ireland. Medtronic, a leader in medical devices, has acquired several Israeli companies and relies on Israeli innovations for advancements in medical technology, particularly in fields like cardiac care and diabetes management. Philips Healthcare, Netherlands. Philips has integrated Israeli innovations into its medical imaging and diagnostics divisions, benefiting from Israel's strong medtech sector. 4. Telecommunications. Ericsson, Sweden. Ericsson has worked with Israeli companies on innovations in 5G and telecommunications technology, which are critical to its global operations. Nokia, Finland. Nokia has collaborated with Israeli firms and research institutions in areas such as network infrastructure and telecommunications. 5. Automotive technology. Tesla, USA. Tesla has acquired Israeli companies and relies on Israeli technology, particularly in the fields of autonomous driving and AI, to advance its electric vehicles. BMW, Germany. BMW has partnerships with Israeli companies for innovations in automotive safety, autonomous driving, and connected car technologies. 6. Defense and aerospace. Lockheed Martin, USA. Lockheed Martin collaborates with Israeli companies on defense technologies, including missile defense systems and cybersecurity. Boeing, USA. Boeing works closely with Israeli defense contractors on aerospace technology and innovation, benefiting from Israel's advanced defense R&D. Summary. These companies are deeply integrated with Israeli technology and innovation ecosystems, relying on Israeli R&D, startups, and expertise to enhance their global products and services. This dependence underscores the strategic importance of Israeli inventions to some of the largest and most influential companies in the world.
What will happen to the European and American economy if these companies move to work with China-Israel Union?
If major American and European companies, particularly those heavily reliant on Israeli inventions, were to relocate their headquarters or significant operations to a hypothetical China-Israel Union, the impact on the American and European economies could be substantial. Here are some potential consequences. 1. Loss of economic influence. Reduction in GDP contribution. Many of these companies are significant contributors to the GDP of their home countries. Their relocation could result in a direct loss of economic output, negatively impacting GDP growth in the US and Europe. Tax revenue decline. These companies contribute substantial tax revenues to their home countries. Relocating would mean that tax revenues from corporate income, employment, and other associated taxes would diminish, straining public finances. 2. Job losses. High-skilled jobs. These companies employ large numbers of high-skilled workers in fields like technology, research and development, and management. Relocation could lead to job losses or the need for these workers to move abroad, leading to a brain drain. Indirect employment. The departure of these companies could also affect indirect employment, such as jobs in supply chains, services, and other sectors that rely on business from these firms. 3. Impact on innovation and technology. R&D and innovation hub shift. if these companies move their R&D operations to Israel or China, the US and Europe could lose their status as global innovation hubs. This would lead to a reduction in technological advancements, slowing down the innovation cycles that drive economic growth. Talent migration. Top talent in sectors like AI, cybersecurity, and biotech might follow these companies to Israel or China, leading to a loss of human capital in the US and Europe. 4. Competitive disadvantage. Loss of market leadership. Companies relocating to Israel or China could shift the balance of power in key industries, potentially making China and Israel leaders in sectors like cybersecurity, semiconductors, and AI. The US and Europe could lose their competitive edge in these critical areas. Supply chain disruptions. The relocation might also disrupt existing supply chains, particularly in technology and defense, leading to delays, increased costs, and decreased efficiency for companies that remain in the US and Europe. 5. Geopolitical and strategic implications. Shift in global alliances. The movement of these companies could signal a shift in global alliances, with Israel and China strengthening their geopolitical influence at the expense of the US and Europe. This could weaken Western geopolitical power and reduce the influence of American and European policies globally. Security risks. The relocation of companies working on sensitive technologies, e.g., cybersecurity, defense, to China could pose significant security risks for the US and Europe, potentially leading to increased tensions and a more fragmented global order. 6. Stock market and investment impact. Stock market decline. The relocation of major companies could lead to declines in the US and European stock markets, as investors react to the potential loss of revenue, jobs, and market influence. Capital flight. Investors might move capital out of the US and European markets to follow these companies, leading to reduced investment in domestic industries and slower economic growth. 7. Trade imbalance. Worsening trade deficits. As these companies move operations abroad, the US and Europe could see worsening trade deficits. The loss of exports and increased imports from the new Israel-China bloc could exacerbate trade imbalances, leading to economic instability. 8. Technological dependency. Increased dependency on foreign technology. The US and Europe might become increasingly dependent on technologies developed and controlled by Israel and China. This dependency could lead to vulnerabilities, particularly in sectors critical to national security and economic stability. 9. Political and social backlash. Public outcry. The relocation of major companies could lead to significant political and social backlash in the US and Europe. Citizens might demand government action to prevent further economic decline, leading to potential policy changes, protectionist measures, or increased regulation. Policy responses. Governments might respond with policies designed to retain companies, such as tax incentives, subsidies, or stricter regulations on corporate relocations. However, these measures might not fully counterbalance the loss of economic activity. 10. Potential for long-term decline. Erosion of economic dominance. Over the long term, the US and European economies could experience a gradual erosion of their economic dominance, as key industries and technologies migrate to the Israel-China bloc. This could lead to a reordering of the global economic hierarchy, with the US and Europe losing their positions as leading global powers. Summary. The relocation of major American and European companies to a China-Israel union would likely have profound and far-reaching consequences for the economies of the US and Europe. It could lead to job losses, reduced innovation, diminished geopolitical influence, and long-term economic decline. The ripple effects would be felt across multiple sectors and could fundamentally alter the global economic landscape.
What will happen to these companies if the Israeli inventions and technology stop coming to them and go to their Chinese competitors?
If Israeli inventions and technologies were to stop being available to American and European companies and instead were directed exclusively to their Chinese competitors, the consequences could be significant for these companies. Here's a breakdown of what might happen. 1. Loss of competitive edge. Technological disadvantage. American and European companies heavily reliant on Israeli technology, particularly in cutting-edge fields like cybersecurity, semiconductors, and medical devices, would lose their competitive edge. Chinese competitors, now with exclusive access to these innovations, could quickly surpass them in key areas. Market share decline. As Chinese companies gain access to superior technology, they would likely capture a larger share of global markets. This could lead to a decline in market share for American and European firms, especially in industries where technological leadership is crucial. 2. Innovation slowdown. R&D impact. The loss of access to Israeli technology would slow down innovation within American and European companies. These companies would need to invest more heavily in their own R&D to try to compensate, but the gap created by the loss of Israeli innovation might be difficult to bridge quickly. Product delays. The inability to access cutting-edge Israeli technologies could lead to delays in product development and the introduction of new products, putting these companies at a further disadvantage. 3. Financial consequences. Revenue decline. As companies lose market share to Chinese competitors and struggle to innovate, their revenues could decline. This would likely result in lower profits, reduced stock prices, and diminished investor confidence. Increased costs. To regain competitiveness, American and European companies might have to significantly increase their spending on R&D, partnerships, or acquisitions of alternative technologies, leading to higher operational costs. 4. Strategic shifts. Mergers and acquisitions. To mitigate the loss of Israeli technology, companies might seek to acquire other firms with similar technologies or enter into strategic partnerships with non-Israeli entities. This could lead to a wave of mergers and acquisitions as companies try to rebuild their technological capabilities. Diversification. Companies might attempt to diversify their technology sources by investing in other innovation hubs around the world, such as Silicon Valley, South Korea, or European tech centers. However, this would take time and might not fully replace the lost Israeli technologies. 5. Geopolitical and economic implications. Increased dependency on China. As Chinese companies become more technologically advanced, American and European firms might find themselves increasingly dependent on Chinese suppliers and partners, leading to a shift in global economic power and influence. Economic shifts. The shift of technological leadership to China could lead to broader economic changes, with China gaining greater influence in global markets and potentially setting new standards in various industries. 6. Regulatory and security concerns. National security risks. Governments in the US and Europe might view the loss of access to Israeli technologies as a national security risk, particularly in critical areas like cybersecurity and defense. This could lead to increased government intervention, possibly through regulations, restrictions on Chinese technology imports, or incentives for domestic innovation. Policy responses. Governments might respond with policies aimed at boosting domestic R&D, protecting strategic industries, or restricting Chinese companies' access to Western markets. However, these measures might only partially mitigate the impact. 7. Long-term industry realignment. Shifts in industry leadership. Over the long term, industries where Israeli technology plays a critical role might see a realignment, with Chinese companies emerging as new leaders. American and European companies might be forced to redefine their business models, focusing on areas where they can still maintain a competitive advantage. Talent migration. The technological leadership shift could also lead to a migration of top talent toward Chinese firms, further strengthening China's position in global innovation. 8. Customer and market reactions. Customer perception. Customers might perceive American and European products as less innovative or advanced compared to their Chinese counterparts. This perception could lead to a shift in consumer preferences, further eroding the market position of Western companies. Pricing pressure. Chinese companies, armed with superior technology, might also engage in aggressive pricing strategies, putting further pressure on American and European firms to compete, potentially leading to price wars and reduced margins. 9. Supply chain vulnerabilities. Supply chain risks. The loss of Israeli technology could expose vulnerabilities in the supply chains of American and European companies, particularly if critical components or technologies become unavailable. This could lead to production delays, increased costs, and further erosion of competitive positioning. Summary. If Israeli technologies and inventions were exclusively redirected to Chinese competitors, American and European companies would likely face significant challenges, including the loss of competitive advantage, innovation slowdowns, and financial strain. The strategic and geopolitical implications would be profound, potentially leading to a shift in global economic power and industry leadership toward China. The long-term effects could include a realignment of industries, increased dependency on Chinese technology, and a potential erosion of the economic and technological dominance currently held by the US and Europe.
What will happen to the European and American economy if the shift happens according to what their economy is today?
If Israeli technologies and inventions were redirected exclusively to Chinese competitors today, the impact on the American and European economies would be profound, given their current economic conditions. Here's an analysis of how this could play out. 1. Immediate economic shock. Market instability. The sudden loss of access to critical Israeli technologies would likely trigger immediate market instability. Stock markets in the US and Europe, particularly in the tech sector, could experience sharp declines as investors react to the news. Investor confidence. Investor confidence in American and European tech companies could wane, leading to reduced investments and capital flight. Companies that are heavily reliant on Israeli technology might see their stock prices plummet. 2. Impact on key industries. Technology sector. The tech sector, a significant driver of economic growth in both the US and Europe, would be hit hardest. Companies in cybersecurity, semiconductors, and telecommunications would struggle to compete without access to cutting-edge Israeli innovations. This could lead to a slowdown in technological advancements and a loss of global leadership in these industries. Medical devices and healthcare. The healthcare sector, which increasingly relies on advanced medical technologies from Israel, could face setbacks in innovation. This might slow the development of new medical devices and treatments, affecting public health and the growth of healthcare companies. Automotive and defense. The automotive industry, particularly in Europe, and the defense sector in the US, both of which utilize Israeli technologies, could lose their competitive edge. This could impact exports and lead to job losses in these key industries. 3. Long-term economic consequences. Reduced economic growth. The loss of technological leadership would likely slow down economic growth in the US and Europe. Technology and innovation are critical drivers of productivity and GDP growth. Without access to leading-edge technologies, these regions could see a reduction in their long-term growth potential. Increased unemployment. Job losses in sectors heavily dependent on Israeli technology would likely rise. The ripple effects could extend to related industries, leading to higher unemployment rates, particularly in high-skilled tech jobs. Widening trade deficits. As Chinese companies gain a technological advantage, the US and Europe might import more high-tech products from China, worsening trade deficits. This could lead to further economic imbalances and pressure on domestic industries. 4. Geopolitical and strategic shifts. Loss of geopolitical influence. The US and Europe could see a decline in their global geopolitical influence as China strengthens its position as a leader in technology and innovation. This shift could alter global power dynamics and reduce the ability of Western countries to shape global standards and policies. Strategic vulnerabilities. The redirection of Israeli technologies to China would heighten security concerns, especially in critical areas like cybersecurity and defense. This could lead to increased spending on defense and cybersecurity measures, diverting resources from other areas of the economy. 5. Impact on innovation ecosystems. R&D and innovation slowdown. the redirection of Israeli innovations could stifle the innovation ecosystems in Silicon Valley, European tech hubs, and other centers of excellence. Companies might struggle to maintain their R&D momentum, leading to a slowdown in new product development and technological breakthroughs. Brain drain. The loss of technological leadership could lead to a brain drain, with top talent moving to China or other regions where innovation is thriving. This would further weaken the US and European innovation ecosystems. 6. Supply chain disruptions. Global supply chains. The disruption of access to Israeli technology could also impact global supply chains, particularly in the semiconductor and tech hardware sectors. Companies might face challenges in sourcing critical components, leading to production delays, higher costs, and potential shortages of key products. Dependence on China. As Chinese companies gain a technological edge, American and European firms might become increasingly dependent on Chinese suppliers, leading to vulnerabilities in supply chains and reduced bargaining power. 7. Consumer and market reactions. Shift in consumer preferences. As Chinese companies introduce superior products and technologies, consumer preferences might shift towards Chinese brands. This could further erode the market share of American and European companies, particularly in emerging markets. Price pressures. With Chinese companies potentially dominating key technology markets, American and European firms might face pricing pressures, leading to reduced profitability and increased competition. 8. Government response and policy changes. Regulatory and trade policies. Governments in the US and Europe might respond with stricter regulations, trade barriers, or incentives to protect domestic industries. However, these measures might not fully offset the loss of access to Israeli technology and could lead to trade conflicts with China. Investment in domestic innovation. In the long term, Western governments might increase investments in domestic R&D and innovation to counterbalance the loss. This could involve public-private partnerships, increased funding for research institutions, and policies to attract global talent. Summary. If Israeli technologies were to be redirected exclusively to Chinese competitors today, the impact on the American and European economies would be severe. The immediate economic shock could lead to market instability, reduced growth, and increased unemployment. Over the long term, the loss of technological leadership would weaken key industries, exacerbate trade imbalances, and shift global power dynamics in favor of China. The US and Europe would need to respond with significant policy changes and investments in innovation to mitigate these effects, but the challenges would be considerable.
Do you think all these companies that even today kiss China's feet will hesitate to transfer their companies to China? Do you think they will be willing to lose the Israeli inventions and because of that a lot of money? Think of all the companies that currently have factories in China. Do you think they will hesitate to transfer everything to China? What will happen to America's economy if all these companies move to China? Do you think it's hard to live now? Wait and see. Just understand that the Chinese company TikTok makes the youth go against Israel in order to break the American-Israel friendship. When you understand this, you understand what China's real plan is. China puts Muslims in concentration camps and bans Islam. And you think they are really in favor of Muslims? All those who shout to stop the aid and friendship between Israel and the United States are actually doing exactly what China wants.